Okay, hey there, business owners. If you caught my live in the group earlier tonight, this afternoon, I let you know that I was having issues going live on Facebook. I can't do it via Zoom. I can't do it via Facebook with a share screen. Just nothing is working for me. And it sounds like I'm not the only one having issues with Facebook. So we are going to, in true entrepreneurial fashion, we're going to improvise. So what I'm going to do instead is I hopped on my Zoom, I hit record, and I'm going to go through the live website audit right now here by myself in my office and upload this video so that you guys can check it out. So if you do have questions, you're watching this later in the group, you do have questions about what I'm saying or maybe about your own website, I am so happy to answer those things in the comments, especially because we missed out on doing that live via the chat for the live video. So here we go. I'm going to share my screen and go through some of the websites that were submitted to me for this live website audit. Now, also, this is my very first time to do this, but I see a lot of marketing experts do website audits via video. So bear with me a little bit because I'm trying this out on you guys for the first time. Okay, so the first video or the first website that we had submitted today is Amberly Photography. Oh my gosh, Amber, first of all, let me just say that your photography is beautiful. Like I'm obsessed with it. So I wanted to first of all say that you're super talented and thank you so much for giving me a chance to look through your website. A couple of things. I get asked to look over photography websites often because I love to do photography too, and I mentor photographers. So this is something that I'm very used to looking at photography websites. And I have a couple of good kind of rules of thumb that I like to use for your industry. The first one being, I want to see these pictures as big as possible. I want big splashy pictures all over your website because at the end of the day, that's what you're selling. You're selling an experience, of course, but the way that you show that experience rather than tell about that experience is through the end result, which is your pictures. So, yeah, I'd love to see those pictures as big as possible. And I hate putting text over images when the image is the thing that you're selling. So the main change that I would do right here off the bat is I would make this picture a little bit bigger so that you can still see above the fold, which would be before you need to scroll, a little bit of text so they know to scroll, but that this picture is big and splashy and a little in their face, right? And then I would I would move the text, change your thinking, change your life. And then this second line, which is actually my favorite, boudoir is so much more than just getting your portrait taken while wearing lingerie. It empowers a person to the depth of their soul. I absolutely love that. So I would move that to right below the picture so that it's the first thing that they read, but that it's not distracting from that beautiful picture there. So that's one of the very first things that I would do. The other thing that I would do is go ahead and move your menu to above the image here. And the reason for that, you guys, is because when it comes to websites, people are flipping through pages like fast and furious, right? They are trying to get from one page to the next, and they're trying to answer a couple of questions in their mind. One, am I in the right place? Two, is this person, company, nonprofit, whatever the case is, right for me? Do I know, like, and trust them enough to work with them? And if so, number three would be, how do I get started? So one of the best ways that they're going to be able to get started is by clicking your contact button, right? And I would put that prominent above the image, right? So this could even come down to moving your logo to the left side and putting your menu on the right side. Now, I have some people that will say, but isn't that what every other website does? Yes. And that's not a bad thing, right? Like when you walk in Walmart and one part is produce and the other part is furniture, you really don't want them to change that up on you, right? You don't want to be walking straight through to grab like a lemon and then there's a couch for sale and then all these other things, right? You want to have some sort of familiarity whenever you're working with a company, right? And one of the best ways to do that is to learn where in web to reinvent the wheel and where not to. And the menu is something that I never reinvent when it comes to a website. People want to be able to find it very quickly, right there, right off the bat, and get to what they're looking for. So I would move that menu above your image. Now, as I scrolled through your site, and you have a lot of really great information here on your website, it is pretty text heavy. And I think it feels even more text heavy because of the light text on the dark background. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. I would just caution you that, especially for your site having a dark background, you need to go even more minimal with the text than most sites would need to. So, as I scrolled through, I was really trying to figure out, what do you want me to do? Right? That's one of the biggest things when you're a customer and you're on a website. Okay, great. I learned about you, but what do you actually want me to do? And I see this contact us here in the bottom. So I'm guessing you want me to contact you, right? And it's up here in the menu too. There's a link to a contact page where whoops, there we go, where I can contact you there too, right? So I'm guessing what you want me to do is contact you. And but I would challenge you to say that whenever you, and this is going to apply to almost every website that I'm reviewing today, whenever you have a blanket contact form, you get a lot of inquiries, and I'm not sure if this is true for you, but I would venture to guess. You get a lot of inquiries that basically say, hi, I'm so-and-so, and I would love to have my picture taken. They didn't tell you, where are they from? What type of pictures are they interested in, right? Do they have a specific date that they need to book you for? None of that information that you actually need in order to further the conversation with them. So what you get are these vague inquiries that lead you down a rabbit hole of back and forth. Now you have to call them. Now you have to email them back several times, where instead you could just be getting to the point, which is by saying, oh my gosh, yes, I'm available that day. I would love to help you. Here are my pricing options. Would you like to get started? So I would encourage you to think about changing this call to action from just a contact form to maybe something that's saying, a pre-schedule or pre-appointment form, or book a 15-minute phone call, or a quick consultation, or whatever the case is, but something that you could word it in order to get the information that you need, even before they're ready to book an appointment. Now, one thing I really found that was missing here too is that there is no book an appointment. So what if I had been following you for years on social media, and I knew a rough idea of your pricing, and I was ready to go. I was ready to go all in, right? I'm ready to do one of these sessions with you. I don't have the ability to do that right there. So one of the things why we call that, we call it in marketing, like, you're putting too many steps between your bank account. So if you are making too many steps in order for them to buy from you, that can be a really hard thing. So depending on the workflow you want, I would either go with that they're booking some sort of consultation, then booking the session, or that they have the ability right there to book the session, or a combination of both. So I would work a little bit on your call to action there. Now, in the footer here, I would just honestly clean this up a little bit. It looks like maybe your logo could be made just a touch smaller. Some of these links don't link to things. Let's see, Facebook's on here twice, Instagram's here, Pinterest doesn't link, Google Plus is no longer in existence, and LinkedIn takes you nowhere. So I would just clean that up a little bit, simplify it, make everything just a little bit smaller, and it'll have such a better feel to it. Now, remember, in design, the more space you have around something, the more kind of luxury or value driven or expensive it can be. So when that's the case, and you're wanting to pull a good price for your photography, right, because you deserve it, one of the best ways to do that is just to clean everything up a little bit and add in a little bit more space. Okay, so one of the things I want to point out that's on this website that I'm sure is on a lot of your websites too, is this hover over effect on images. You guys, it's really fun, right? I get to use my mouse and I get to hover over this. However, the problem is twofold. One, a lot of people just don't think to hover over the image. They scrolled, they saw the image, they didn't think to mouse over it. So then you miss out on them getting these great testimonials as they're looking through your site, right? Because they never thought to put their mouse over there. The second thing is that on mobile, this really doesn't work because they would have had to click on that image. And for most of us, when we think on clicking on an image on a website, we're thinking about making it bigger or taking us to another page. So if they, they likely won't click on that image. So they're missing out on this great information that you have here hidden behind the picture. So I would encourage you to add a whole different section here just for testimonials and take out that mouse over effect. Okay, overall on the whole site, I would just love to see more pictures. I know you have a gorgeous portfolio here that is fantastic. I actually really do love the way that this portfolio is laid out with the big pictures all over the screen, but I would sprinkle some of these pictures throughout other areas of the site too. You have them here in client love, which is so fun. You have so many amazing testimonials, but even in, the about page, especially on the home page, more than just a few pictures would be great. Make them really big, make them really splashy. Okay. One of the other things that I thought would be really great is just instead of having a whole separate page for client love, which is testimonials, I would just incorporate that into the homepage. I would make it look really pretty. I would put those testimonials so that when somebody gets to your homepage, you really have an idea that there is actual proof that Amber's a great photographer. Not Amber can write a good paragraph saying that she's a great photographer, but there is proof of that because clients love her too, right? I think both of these about pages here could probably be combined. You have about and humble brags, which is your awards and memberships. I would combine that all into the about page so that there's a little bit less to click on. And when they start to read about you, they're also getting your accolades there. They're also seeing that you really are good at what you do, right? Okay, and then the last little thing I had to tell you on this site before we get to the Rise area is the blog. The blog is also a place where you get to show off the gorgeous images that you take. So I would think about a different blog layout here where you have a big splashy image and a little piece of that text. And, maybe it's laid out with the image on the left and the text on the right so that you can get that image bigger, or even just big pictures throughout with a tiny bit of text so that they'll click on it, right? These blog areas, you guys, I say all the time when I say blog, I don't mean become a blogger and monetize your life by being a blogger. But what I mean is this is a great place to add new and relevant updated information to your website. And it looks like you're doing a fantastic job of that. But it is also important to make sure that they're shown off just as much as everything else because your blog is actually an extension of your portfolio. So I would get these pictures really big in there. Okay, and then the last thing that I wanted to tell you is that Rise 2021 honestly sounds amazing. I know a few of these speakers, right, that are going to speak at Rise 2021, and it sounds incredible, but on your website, it feels disjointed. I would probably recommend either making a separate website for the conference or, just removing it maybe from the main. I really don't know how you could integrate it into this website and make it feel cohesive. It's really hard to tell, are you the owner of this event? Are you a speaker at this event? So I think kind of cleaning up a few of those things to where it still flows with your site, if you're going to keep it here, or that maybe you just consider making a whole separate website for the conference. Okay, Amber, thank you so much for submitting your site to me to look over. I hope that some of this feedback was really helpful. One of the comments that you made in your intake form was that it just doesn't feel like you. But I could almost really guess that your pictures do feel like you. They're an expression of your artistic self, right? So having those even bigger and more of them throughout the site, I think would make a really big difference in the site feeling more like you. Okay, the next site that we had submitted is Half Past Four Design. First of all, I really loved looking through this website because there are some really fun pieces that you have in your gallery and for sale. The first thing that really struck me about the site is that I see where you're going with this background texture and that you're trying to get a vibe from it, but to be honest, I think that it just distracts from the products that you're selling, right? So with something like this that we're selling on a website, really any product driven websites, I really want to see those pictures. I want to see the pictures of the product as big as they could be, you know, without being obnoxious, and nothing else around them that's too distracting. So especially right here on your homepage, I know one of the things you said was that when customers get on your website, you're tracking the analytics and they're on the website and then they're getting right off of the website. So I think showing them immediately what you sell without any more distractions would be one of the best ways to go. So if I were you, I would think about a redesign for your homepage for that reason. Let's get those gallery pictures, those product pictures up really big, and no background distraction for it. I love the line that says transforming vintage and antique furniture into fabulousness for your home. That is so much fun and it really describes what you do. So if I was going to redesign this homepage for you, I would have a big splashy product picture right up at the top and that line very prominent. I think that that would make a really big difference in making sure that when somebody lands on your website, they know exactly what it is that you do. So one of the big things is to let the photos do the talking and to show off the work, but not the website, right? Um, I think after looking at your logo, which is so much fun and so colorful, the black text and the black buttons throughout your website feel kind of disjointed from your brand. So I would recommend making these call to action buttons, maybe this really fun yellow or pink that's in your logo, and having these headings be a different color, maybe even the blue that's pulled in from your logo or a gray. But I think that the black is pretty jarring and it feels a little bit disjointed from the brand. So I think if you made that change, that would make a big difference. Another thing is, you know, right here in 3 places, we have your social media icons. Now, we want people to follow us on social media, yes, but once they're on your website, this is home base. This is where, I mean, nobody would walk into your physical location and you say, hey, by the way, don't stay here, but go home and get out your phone and follow us on Facebook. Right? So same thing here. We don't want to invite them into our website and then immediately take them off. So I think what's happening here is that your social media links are too prominent. I think you could make them smaller in the footer. You could leave them in the header if you wanted to. That's a great size, but I would remove them all together from this sidebar area. Okay. Now, I'm going to also say that I would encourage you to make this homepage a true landing page. At the end of this video, I'm going to go through what a true landing page looks like. So definitely stay tuned for that. Now, italicized text like this, I would probably avoid using altogether. Italics are meant to add accent to something, but when you're using them too often, now you've lost the ability to accent what you want, right? So in this sentence here, it might say life is too short for boring furniture, and boring is the only italicized word there. So that's a really great rule of thumb for all of us who are thinking about design is don't make everything an accent, really reserve that chance to accent something when it's really needed. Okay, as far as site organization here, one of the things that I would recommend is that it is a little bit confusing that we're shopping the available collection And then here in the gallery, it also feels like a shop, but it feels like a shop that a lot of things are out of stock on. So I see where you're going with, but if they're in the gallery and they wanted to purchase this picture frame or this piece of artwork, I'm sorry, that they would be able to just click purchase right there. And there is some warrant to that, but it is confusing the way it is now. So what I would encourage you to do is either have the gallery just a portfolio of images and no shopping links, or maybe incorporate the gallery of like past designs or things you've worked on the home page. By the way, I'm so distracted right now because this is beautiful. Okay, but I would encourage you to put those gallery images of some of the past work you've done or portfolio work you've done somewhere else, or don't make them clickable. Don't make them a product that's out of stock because it feels clunky to the viewer. And I'm assuming that these are one of a kind things. So it's not like I could buy that anyway. So it's almost teasing me that it's out of stock. So I would fix that up a little bit. Let's see here on the about page. This is my favorite page. If the background was white, I would honestly be in love with this page. I love this really big picture here of your work. I think that it shows a lot about what you do, and it's big and it's splashy and it's crisp and clear. I would lean more towards this type of design for your other pages on the site, especially for the home page with those big, beautiful pictures. But I would do it on a white background. Okay, so then when we get over here to the contact us page, just as I was saying on Amber's site, one of the things with contact us pages is you get these kind of boring messages put in here that's like, do you make furniture? Do you paint things, right? And you're sitting here answering the same question over and over again, which can get really monotonous. So what I have started doing on a lot of websites is just taking the contact form out altogether. I think if you have a contact form that isn't asking for anything more than what you see here, name, email, phone, message, then it's probably better just to put your email address in the footer and remove this contact form altogether. Now, if you were asking them what type of piece are you interested in furniture? Do you already own the piece? Do you just need to have it painted? What style do you love? If you're asking more questions, then I could maybe see, but that's not a contact form. That's a custom quote form or something else, right? Okay, the last kind of note that I'll leave you with here is that there are so many fun colors incorporated into your logo and into your branding. It's really fun to look at. I would just really work on making sure that that same vibe comes across on the rest of your site too. So thank you so much for submitting this site for a review. You have beautiful work and I loved looking through it. Okay, the next one I have here for you is Miss Courtney. Courtney is a very good friend of mine, so I'm going to try to be not too harsh, but also I'll say what's on my mind. If you guys have known me for long enough, I'm just going to say it, right? Okay, so Courtney's main question is it engaging to the end user? And I think in a lot of ways it is. And I think in some ways we could fix that a little bit, right? So first of all, the cookie notice did not pop up for me here. I'm not exactly sure why. Let's load this again. But it did for me earlier. So Courtney, make a mental note here that it's a little too large. I think you could make it a little bit smaller. Um, I would replace this image that you have here on the top with something else. They're already on your website, so we don't need to say what your website address is right here, right? And these aren't clickable links to Facebook and Instagram, so it really doesn't help anybody who's on a website to see that. Now, if you had that typed out in an Instagram image where nothing is clickable anyways, okay, maybe I could see that. But in general, we want to avoid typing out links into images. So I would just put one of those beautiful new pictures that you have front and center on this website, and then put your logo into the header instead of having it on the image. So in general on web, we really want to keep images separate from everything else. Just exactly how you have here. We have an image and then we have the text over here. Now there are a couple reasons for that. Screen readers cannot read text that's on an image, right? Because it's flat. Translation documents. So if you had someone who speaks a primary different language and they had Google Translate the site for them so they could understand what you're talking about, that can't read a text on an image either. The other thing is when you start to make this website smaller onto mobile, that text is just going to keep getting smaller and smaller. Whereas with the other text that's actual live text on your website like this, you can change those settings for mobile or for tablet to make sure that someone can still read it at the end of the day. So I would work on that top image and put your logo up in the header instead of on the image itself. Now, another thing that I wanted to point out here that I think will help a lot of you, honestly, is to simplify the links that you have in the menu. If the links either become too wordy or if there are too many of them, a lot of people who look at websites will just get confused and they'll just go on to something else, right? Now you've lost them. So right here, instead of about Courtney, I would just put about, or yeah, get to know me, but that's still too long too. I would just go with about, simple and sweet. I would put the free mortgage calculator and free moving guide under resource links. So you have a sub menu there. And I would just call it resources, right? They don't need to know that they're links to other things, which I think they are. Yeah, they don't need to know that they're resource links. They're resources. So just call it resources. So simplifying some of that menu wording will help to make the site have a little bit more breathing room and not feel like there's too much to look at. Okay. Now, one of the things is that I love a big piece of text on a website, right? But this right here, these three in a row feel a little too crowded to me. So I would instead designate what does heading 2 look like, right? So on websites, we typically have heading 1, which not always, but is usually your largest presence of a heading on a site. 2 can be your second largest, 3 your third largest, 4 your fourth largest. It isn't always going to work out that way, but that's a good rule of thumb to follow. So instead of having these your large heading, I would make it a little bit smaller than that. It looks great when it's here and there's only one of them, but you start to stack multiple or you get multiples on the screen together and it becomes really confusing to look at. So I think that that would be really helpful. Now, I love that you've incorporated the green from your branding. If I remember right, yeah, you have this rust color also. I would make these call to action buttons that lighter color, that rusty color, so that you're not giving the heading and the button the same amount of importance with the color, but you're saying, hey, this button is important in a whole different way. And I've shown you that because I've changed the color. Now, in your sign up for subscriptions, nobody likes to fill in a phone number, so I doubt you get a lot of those filled in, but I would just ask for first name and email address, to be honest, because it feels a lot less of a commitment for people to fill in, and they've already given you what you need at that point, which is their email address. The other thing with this free guide and goal workbook, one, I've seen this workbook and it's awesome. It's an amazing resource. And I would really try to make this section more important, more fun, more colorful. Do something here so that you can really show them maybe what that guide and goal workbook cover looks like, or you could even print it out, set it on your desk and take a picture of it, and put that up here so that they really get an idea of what they're walking away from in order to give you their email address, which is a big commitment for people, right? One of these things that I wanted to point out that may seem a little bit nitpicky, but I see a lot of people do this on websites, so I'm hoping it will help someone else too, is double spaces after punctuation. Now, I know when we were all taught to write in whatever style that is, they told us to double space after punctuation. But what it does in websites is it makes what we call a river. So you have one here and here. So your eye is going from here to here, and then it's going to here and to here. So instead, we want them to read from left to right, right? We don't want them to catch these little things. And no one would ever probably notice that that's what their eye is doing, but trust me, that's what's happening. Okay, so your call to action, which is, let's be honest, the most important thing on your website. So you have questions, shoot me a message, download the app, and then we're at call today, right? So I would just make those a lot more prominent. Changing the button for the color of the button could help with that a little bit, but I would just make sure that there is one singular call to action that you're repeating throughout the site. So if you want them to call you, then say call today over and over again. If you want them to email you, if you want them to schedule a consultation or whatever the case is, I would repeat that same call to action. I like to call it a primary call to action. So that primary call to action over and over again throughout the site, I think is very important to repeat. Okay, and similar to what I said on the other website, I would make your blog posts a lot larger and more prominent. Instead of having them kind of in 4 columns here, maybe think about 1 column, but the picture's on the left, or even in 2 columns, so that it really is kind of a splashier area to show off your blogs. Because eventually you may be posting about house trends or styles or things like that the picture becomes really important on. So I would think about a new layout for your blog and not putting a picture in the background like this. You could do a pattern in the background if you wanted to find a graphic like that, but I think simple is typically best. Okay, and the last thing that I wanted to point out on this website is this right here, real estate agent in the top right-hand corner. Now, I know why a lot of people do this on websites is for SEO purposes, but I may have Tim, the SEO expert in the group, disagree with me here, and feel free to if you're watching this. But I kind of feel like SEO is fantastic to look into, to optimize on your website, but not at the expense of converting a viewer who's already there, right? So things like this, where we're saying real estate agent up here, I know it makes Google happy, but is it really adding to the experience that your client is getting whenever they land on your website, your potential client? So if they aren't, right, it's kind of distracting from your phone number, which is what you want them to do. You want them to call you. So instead, you could say something like, as a real estate agent, I firmly believe that everyone should love where they live. Now we've gotten that keyword in there for Google. You can make that whole line bigger under this splashy pretty picture that you're going to put here, and you're achieving a similar, if not the same, purpose. So Courtney, thank you so much for submitting your website for review. That was really fun to go through. Okay, you guys, I wasn't sure how much time I would have for websites today, because obviously I talk a lot, but one of the things I wanted to do right before I wrap up this video is to show you exactly what a landing page should look like. Not necessarily in terms of design, because design is subjective, but what information should be on a landing page that you are building, right? So this is Cutie Paws. The owner, Heather, is in Atlanta, and she hired me a while back to create this website for her. And one of the reasons why I picked it to show you today is because, I mean, who doesn't like looking at pictures of cute dogs? And she found a dog photographer in her area to take these pictures, an animal photographer. So they turned out so dang cute. So if you want to check out this website, it's a really good example of how I would encourage you to think about your content. So what I'm going to go through now is what I like to call a landing page, and her homepage here functions as a landing page. So what we have here is that header area that that looks and functions like most sites do, right? We didn't reinvent the wheel here when it comes to this. The logo is readable, but not too large. The menu is right there. One of the menu items is a call to action, which is really great, especially when you have a singular call to action like that. We've put in, the social media links and the contact information, but not in a way that's too distracting. We've given them their own space, which can make a really big difference. So in this top header area, I love putting big splashy images. That doesn't work for everyone, but you can see that you just get a feeling when you look at this image. And when you get that feeling, you know that the design is working, right? So the other thing that I like to put in the header area is the one-liner. Now, I have a whole video series talking about sales funnels and a whole video talking about one-liners, and it is in the group. They changed the name of units. Now I want to say it's called something else, right? It's in the resources area of the group. So we have her one-liner here. We make pet sitting simple and love your pets like family. Right there, you get a vibe for who they are and what they do, right? It says pet sitting right there. So you're not questioning, are they a groomer? Are they a vet? Like, who are we talking to here about Cutie Paws? So you understand right there what it is that they do. And we have a button right there saying, see our services. Now, this next section is what I like to call the value section. And this is a great example of a value section. So you're saying, here's why we love your pets, but also here's the benefits of working with Cutie Paws. This is the value that we're going to add to your lives and your family's lives. Not only is it pet sitting so you can go out of town, but think about these things. Pets are happier and less stressed at home. Diet and exercise routines stay consistent. Avoid travel trauma. No need to bother those family or friends or neighbors. Have peace of mind when you have to be away, right? This is the value that you get when you hire Cutie Paws to watch your pet. So in this next section, this is what I like to call why you, and this is Heather here, the owner. Why you? Why should they work with Cutie Paws? Why over everyone else? Why should they work with this company, right? And it's simple. She started it out right here by saying, we've been serving pets and their people in the Atlanta area since 2008. And then there's all kinds of great information here saying, why should Cutie Paws earn their business? Now, one of my favorite sections to put on a landing page or a home page is the plan. So what you're doing here is you're starting to introduce information in the psychology of how people buy. So they're going to first say, am I in the right spot? We covered that with the one-liner. Then they're going to say, why do I need this thing? Why do I need this service? Why do I need this product? We covered that in the value section. Then the next natural question in someone's mind is, okay, but why should I buy from these people? Is this the right company to put my money towards, right? And as I always love to say, you're not just competing with people in your industry. We're competing with Amazon. We're competing with the time that this person spends with their kids. We're competing with, everything else in their lives. We're competing for their attention. And right here in this philosophy of a landing page, you're telling them, no, I've laid it out so simple for you that you don't have to find that extra added attention to give me. So part of that is the process. So the next logical question in their mind is, but how does it work? So I like to do these usually in 3 steps, but in this case, it took 4 to get that across, and that's no big deal. So we're saying step 1, just fill out this intake form. 2, set up your account, right? You get the point. But right here, we're saying, here's how you work with Cutie Paws. Then we're saying, don't just take it from us that we're amazing. Let's see some social proof on this. This is what other people are saying about Cutie Paws too. And these testimonials, you guys, can go a long ways. I love doing them in sliders like this because you can get a lot of testimonials in there. They scroll through, it creates this interactive effect. But at the same time, it doesn't have so much text on the page, like if you were going to stack these one on top of the other, so that your viewers aren't looking at the page going, oh, I don't have time to read all of that, right? Okay, so then the next section here is what I like to call the failure section. So the failure section says, hey, stop worrying about finding friends and neighbors to look out on your pets or feeling guilty about boarding them. Just contact us. We're right here for you. So this is saying what could happen if you fail, right? If you fail to contact Cutie Paws to watch over your pets, then you're going to end up calling your friend at 2 a.m. going, crap, did you go let out the dog? Or feeling really bad because you had to take them to a stuffy boarding facility, right? So this is what failure could look like. And then right here, we've added in some accolades for them, some awards that they've won, and then we've done an email sign up so that they can sign up for their newsletter. Now, their newsletter sign up is very, very simple. We're just asking them for their email address. So as you can see here, this site really has a well-rounded homepage. And as I started reviewing the sites that were submitted to me for the live website review, that's one of the big things that I noticed is that not all of them had a very well-rounded homepage. So I wanted to show you an example of what that could actually look like. Now, if you go to this actual website, cutiepawsatl.com, you'll get an idea of how I like to lay out some of the other pages, including services and everything else. Look at this cute little guy here. But you get an idea of what that could actually look like, right? Yeah, even down to we're going to fill out an application and become a sitter. Of course, I love those husky pictures. Okay, so thank you guys so much for Hi, thank you guys so much for joining me in this video. Again, I'm so sorry that I couldn't do this as a Facebook Live. I really wanted to and get some of that live interaction, those live questions, but it just did not work out that way. So now that we went to plan B and recorded this video, I'm going to upload it to Facebook. And yeah, I am always available in the comments for questions. And I hope for my very first live website review, I wasn't too hard on everybody, but I also gave some very good pointed tips on how you could improve your website. And you guys let me know in the comments if this was really helpful for you, because it's definitely something that I would be willing to do again if we have some other websites that could use some feedback. So I hope that each and every one of you have an awesome evening if you're watching this evening. If not, wherever you are, whatever time it is, I hope you're having a good one.